welcome to this very special episode of Globe Talks with Traders, coming at you from Zebu Live. So, I'm your host Sunlight, and I'm welcoming onto the show That Martini Guy. How are you?
It's a pleasure to be here. It's a very interesting kind of room that we're in right now.
Yeah, well, van,
Yeah.
really. Yeah, so let's jump right into things.
The Globe mobile app is now live on the Apple App Store. Trade anytime, anywhere, with any asset as collateral. Stay connected with all your positions on the go. Globe, exchange everything, now even easier.
Can you tell us a bit about yourself and how you got into crypto trading?
Absolutely. So when I first got into crypto was a very different place. When I first got in, again, don't know how family friendly PG clean it is, but essentially I was interested in the Silk Road. I was interested in everything to do with the Silk Road, the fact that you could build a business on a website, you could sell things that were not necessarily legal to sell in person, but me not necessarily understanding everything at the time. I just found all of this very interesting, and at the time, back in 2013, everyone was talking about that, and it was on the news, it was everywhere back then, and when it was everywhere, it was just everywhere, you couldn't escape it. And so then me naturally going, okay, well I could buy something on the internet and I could sell it in person and make money doing that. Basically saying, look, I could be a drug dealer and I can make a lot of money being a drug dealer. So I looked into it and I found Bitcoin through that process. And I bought Bitcoin with the sole intention of buying something off this website and selling it in person. I never did buy anything off the website and never did sell anything in person, and it's very important to point out that I didn't do that. Definitely didn't do that. I didn't. I was a nerd at school. I didn't have any friends. But the point is, from there I found Bitcoin and I bought a couple of Bitcoins back then for like $700. Then Bitcoin's price back then was $300. Went back down to it went really down back then, like maybe $50 or $20 again. And I thought I'd lost everything, which is not a lot of money to lose anyway. It's only a small amount. But then from there, the price went back up. Then we had the bull run. And I sold in 2015 for the same price as what I paid for it in 2013. But then I bought Ethereum at between $1 and $3 in 2016. And then I made a lot of money in 2017 from doing that, up to about 70,000. And then I lost it all in 2018 when the market crashed and then I got hacked. So I lost all of my money, like everything. And then I took out a loan, bought a car, sold the car, bought Bitcoin with it, used insane amounts of leverage on that Bitcoin, made a lot of money again very quickly, paid off the loan on the car. I actually recently gave the car away to an employee of mine. I didn't want to sell it because it's a bit of a piece of history for me, so I wanted to keep it. But yeah, and then from there basically we then had, after that trade I made a lot of money with that, and then I used that to invest in a lot of altcoins, and those altcoins that we were buying back then were all 1-2 cents. Then we had a bull market, everything went up to several dollars per coin, everything went amazingly well for about 18 months, and then the market crashed again, and now we are where we are. So yeah, that's like a brief history of the past 10 years of my time in crypto.
So let me latch on to what you said about leverage actually, because Globe offers up to 100x. What was your leverage like?
Back then, I was doing silly things with leverage. You shouldn't really. So leverage is an interesting question because everyone always goes, leverage is evil, don't use leverage. Whereas I'd say this is just such a dumb, and it's something that people don't understand. Leverage isn't evil. It just depends on the way that you apply the leverage. If you have an account with $100,000 in it, and then you use 100x leverage on that account with $100,000 in it, now you just took out a $9.9 million loan, if I've done my mental maths very quickly in my head right. That's an insane amount of money to loan against a smaller amount of money, and if it goes correct, you'll make a lot of money very quickly, but if it goes wrong, you've lost your entire account. Don't do that. That's really stupid. Instead, use leverage to manage risk. So say for example, if you've got an account with $100,000 in it, but you only want to risk $1,000 of that account, but you want to play with $100,000 on that account, that's not a dumb risk. That's trading with 1% of your account. If you use 100x leverage in that case, it would mean that worst case scenario, you actually only lose 1%. But this is why leverage is an interesting question of, I don't like that it gets demonized in the crypto industry. I think it's bad for the industry in general to demonize leverage when leverage is an asset that can be used to mitigate risk. It's just most people don't understand it. What leverage do I generally use? It depends on the kind of trading that I'm doing. Currently I'm using very high leverages on my trades because I'm using very small amounts of equity, because we're in this market where it's bouncing all over the place. So you don't want to have like low leverage because it means that you can get trapped in a position. If you're trading with a lot of money on low leverage, you're probably better off switching to higher leverage with less money. And that way, in the event that you're wrong, which occurs much more frequently in this market, then you don't lose as much money. Whereas if you're correct, you make sure, basically short-term trading is what I'm finding is the most profitable right now, and that tends to be what I'm doing. To put it this way, like yesterday I got one trade that I was liquidated on, and then I had 2 trades that I profited on. And those 2 trades more than paid for the liquidation. Why did I get liquidated on the trade? Because I'm using insanely high leverage. But did I lose a lot of money when I got liquidated? No. This is like maybe about $1,000, but I made more than $1,000 from trading with the other 2 assets that I was trading because I'm using high leverage. So it's basically, it makes trading much easier to quantify doing smaller amounts, in my opinion. Again, everyone has their own different style, not financial advice, but remember that one. But yeah, everyone has their own different style, technique, and I would say that most people lose money for the first several years that they do trading, and don't expect to walk into the industry and know everything about everything. It's just not what the case. I didn't make my first million until 2020, and I started in 2013, and I lost everything twice before I got to the point where I'm at. And even now I'm going through a stage whereby the entire market crashed and all my altcoin bags are worth 90% less than what they were 6 months ago. So you don't win consistently. It's just important to press bank, and by nature of using high leverage and less equity, you train yourself into kind of pressing bank more frequently, which means in a bull market you play it better.
Awesome. So I feel like anyone in your position losing everything twice would have given up by now. But what made you so persistent?
I don't really have any other option. Like I could, if I really wanted to, have pursued a career in engineering. But what sounds more fun? Crypto, or sitting behind a desk with a boss that hates you, doing a job that you don't like, that you didn't plan to do ever in your entire, it was never an option for me to do a normal job, because I was never very accepting of my own situation. I didn't like growing up poor, I didn't like not having money, and I didn't like not popular. I always like to be liked. That's something, and I think most people always like to be liked. Everyone likes to be liked. And so by nature of all of these things, I think that crypto is a perfect place. I think that everything that we do in crypto, it's like one big family, one big community. Within that community, there are disputes, just like there are within any family. But at the end of the day, everyone is working towards the same goal. So why did I never give up on crypto? Well, crypto never gave up on me necessarily. So because even when things are going badly, there's always 1 or 2 things that are going pretty well. And the way that my brain is, it just kind of never lets go of this. It just you'll keep doing this until it works. That's the way that my brain works. So.
That's really inspiring, actually. So you've been in the space since 2013,
yeah.
right? So you've seen your fair share of bull and bear cycles. Are there any market tells to show you at what point of the cycle we're in?
Yes. When everybody is terrified and everyone is saying it's going to go to 10k. So let's phrase it in the same way that we can phrase, and we can take a look back now on 2017, 2018. So in 2017, Bitcoin hits 20k. In 2018, Bitcoin hits 3k. At $3,000, bearing in mind that we've been at $6,000 for a long time, and then we dropped down to $3,000, then we bounced up to about 4. We spent a while at 4, but while we're at 4, you have people like Torn Vase and other various actors in the cryptocurrency space telling everybody the price is going down to $1,000. And when they're telling you there's going to be another 75% drop on top of an already, what was it, like 90-something% drop, or 86%, I can't quite work it out off the top of my head, but somewhere in that range there, we've already dropped pretty much 90%. And you're telling me there's going to be another sentence, just sod off at that point, shut up, don't be ridiculous. And that's at the point where people's predictions start getting ridiculous. Just like, turn it on its head. Bitcoin at $60,000, amazing, gets up to $69,420. And at that point you're going, alright, we've hit a bit of a meme number here. Can this really keep going? What's the realistic chance of this keeping on going? And we all thought it was much higher than what it actually was. In actual fact, the market turned around at that point. But that was when everybody was saying it was going to happen. The same thing is in bear markets, just the exact opposite. So in a bear market, when right now, everybody is saying the price is going to go lower and lower and lower. And to some extent, they're correct. There's 2 more rate hikes coming over the next 2 months. And then after those 2 rate hikes have taken place, we will probably experience more upwards than downwards after that point, quite simply because there'll be rate reductions or nothing. The interest rate is expected, not interest rate, interest rate, sorry, I'm getting confused in my head. They're expecting it to be 4.5% in America. The current rate, if I remember off the top of my head, is 3.3 or 3.5. Now, at the current rate that they're increasing it, between 0.5 and 0.75 per month, that would mean that by November or December this year, we've had 2 to 3 more rate hikes, which would reach that 4.5% that they're aiming for. And then at that point in time, they start cooling it off. And it's when you experience that cool off that they start increasing the money supply again. And then when the money supply is increasing, it means more people are investing. And by that point in time, the new Prime Minister here in the UK hopefully stimulated the economy a little bit. And hopefully things are turning around. But I wouldn't ever aim to time the bottom. I think it's not important to time the bottom. It's more important to be around at the bottom. Like, look at where I made the most money. Did I buy the absolute bottom of any coin ever? No, not to my knowledge. I don't think I did. But I bought very close to them, and I bought a lot of times very close to them. To give you an idea, I met Alex from a company called Swissborg in London in 2019, in March 2019, and on that day he gave me $250 of his coin. And then after, like, this is a fun one, is this? So after about 12 months of me holding onto this coin and not looking at it, checks my wallet, I had about $7,000 in there of a $250 gift that he gave me because I had no money at the time. And that can basically show you the power of just being around at the right time. When he gave me that money, it was not the bottom. That was probably 3 or 4x what the bottom was. But the company's growth in a bull market, people don't understand how fast things can grow. And also, most people don't understand the concept of liquidity. If you don't understand the concept of liquidity, you shouldn't be investing in altcoins. If you understand how liquidity works and how liquidity can affect the price, then you'll make a lot more money than those people that don't understand liquidity. If, for example, you put up $20 million of liquidity, you can have a market cap of $400 million. But of that supply, as soon as sell pressure kicks in, then if your market cap is $400 million, but there's only $20 million of liquidity, that actually only means that the project is only worth $20 million, because that's all that can be cashed out from it. So when people don't understand liquidity, they look at market caps and they don't correctly analyze these things. So again, that's why we invented CryptoSavingExpert, to kind of help you all with this stuff, because I guess that's why people watch these interviews and stuff, because I've been doing it since 2013, so my brain is wired when it comes to, like, I don't know much else. This is me. This is how I am.
Right, so you were saying right now we're in a bear market and you're trading on really high leverage at the moment. So can you tell us a bit more about your other trading strategies for a bear market?
Yeah. If you lose money on a trade, stop for a day, analyze what you did. It'll save you so much money because you won't consistently make errors, because you will spot what you did wrong. If you find that you're incapable of learning from what you did wrong, please stop trading. and please just do a course or something, educate yourself. That's why we invented the business. We invented it because there is so little education in crypto, and even if there is education in crypto, a lot of the education that is around is signing people up to a product, or learn how to use my product now, or just things like this, rather than actually useful educational tactics. There's a lot of people that will want to use education as a tool to sign you up to a business. So what we didn't want to do is that. You just got to take time off and educate yourself. Another good trading strategy, actually, because that is one of the best ones that you can do. You don't need to be in a trade all the time. The most profitable traders probably trade 4 or 5 times a month. I'm currently trading 4 or 5 times a day, but that's because I'm high frequency trading and I'm trying to look for scalp trades and constantly taking profits. It's because for me, I analyzed my own trading and I noticed that I was trading for too long term. And I looked at my own strategy and I said, look, if I trade for shorter term, I would actually be making a lot more money here. Because what I was doing is holding on to trades too long. In this market, we've not been experiencing, after a point, any upwards. It gets to a certain point, it just goes, and we have that so many times now. I'm so fed up of it. You got to adapt, and if you don't adapt, then you will lose money, a lot of money, very quickly. Nice thing about crypto is that you can't take loans to lose too much money, so that's good. It saves people a lot of hassle, because if this was, for example, in Forex, you can go into debt. And if you can go into debt against a trade in crypto, this space would be in a very interesting place right now, because people would have leveraged themselves like crazy against debt, And that's one of the things that, for me, makes crypto a very safe long-term bet, is because people don't leverage debt in this space. In the traditional financial space, you can end up with a huge balloon, and that balloon can pop and everything can go terribly. But in crypto, we can never have that balloon because we don't leverage debt. So I didn't really answer your question so much there. I just talked about debt.
It's all right. Do you think that one day we'll be able to take out crypto loans? I mean, it's already kind of happening,
it depends,
though, isn't it?
because we currently have collateralized loans.
Yeah.
And collateralized loans, they are not the same as taking out a loan, because you put $100,000 down and then they give you $50,000. They don't give you $200,000. I mean, it depends on the way that you collateralize it and how much risk you take within that collateralization. So you can put down 100k and take out 200k. But if that 100k gets liquidated, then it really depends on which service you use. We have the system. It's too complex a system for normal people to understand. It has no kind of advisory services within that. So when you go for a mortgage right now, they advise you on what is the best mortgage for you, all that kind of thing. You've got to work out everything yourself, which is why I love crypto, because it's me versus you. And generally in a me versus you scenario, I've been in since 2013. I got way more experience than you. I'll win. That's generally how it works. Now, that's one of my favourite things about the industry. One of the least favourite things about the industry is it works in that way as well, because people like me are a huge advantage because of time. But yeah, the debt situation, I don't know. I think, yeah, we will be able to take out crypto loans, but I think that we will be coming in maybe 5 years. And the reason I would say that is because there is currently no regulatory framework for it in the UK. We don't really have any system that allows it, because at that point you've opened a bank. At the point where you're offering out proper loans, you're now a bank. And I think we're a while off having a proper crypto bank, because all the major banks here, they don't want anything to do with us because they can't make as much money from us. Whereas we go, like, we don't need you. So it's just, it is what it is, isn't it? So.
It is, yeah. And regulatory framework is something that I've been hearing all the time in the space.
Yeah.
And do you see a kind of time frame in which we can see regulation come into
I think
play?
we'll see regulation very quickly from our new Prime Minister. She's already mentioned it, which is a pretty good sign for us. She seems like she's not a big fan of regulation. Keep it up, Liz. We want regulation, but we want friendly regulation. We don't want over-regulation. Over-regulation will stifle innovation, and stifling innovation ultimately causes financial crises. This over-regulation is bad. Too much regulation is bad, but then under-regulation is also bad. So you need to hit in the sweet spot whereby you stop scammers, but at the same time encourage good business. Already here today, I've met a lot of questionable projects that I would say these need to be better regulated, and you shouldn't be doing things like this. For example, we'll make an example of an NFT project. There's an NFT project here today that raised £4.5 million, and they basically issue out an NFT to their holders. Their holders can go to an events for about a year. The CEO pays himself a massive salary, and after a year they have no more money. What good did that do the world? What was the point in all of that? You bought an experience when you bought that, but they didn't sell it as an experience. They sold it as a long-term hold, something that you could potentially make money from. This is why the NFT space, I think, should be significantly more regulated than the crypto space. In terms of NFTs, I think a lot of politicians don't understand. NFTs are a very different beast than a token. A token is an economy. An economy just needs basic oversight. An economy either works or it doesn't work. An NFT can rob people because they don't understand what it's for. Ultimately, most NFTs have no utility, and the utility that a lot of people are speculating on will never arrive because a lot of these CEOs are paying themselves so much money that the project will never work anyway. And I think the best way so how you regulate something like this, you go, look, if you're making an NFT startup, your CEO's salary is capped at £30,000 a year, or whatever minimum wages these days. And why do that? Because it shows that the person that's doing it and is in charge of doing it is doing it for the right reasons and is not doing it for cash. They should be able to profit off the back of it, but not until the company is actually generating a profit, and everyone just seems to cash grab. Like, cash grabbing is so common, and that's what needs to be stopped. Because if people didn't cash grab so much and that was better regulated, there would be more liquidity. Why is crypto in a bear market right now? Because there's not enough liquidity. because all these scammers came along, noticed what we were doing, went, oh, that kid from Yorkshire that's 24 years old is a multimillionaire. I can do what he does. I'll just go scam some people and go and live in Dubai. Right, so this is what we ended up with, and now we have an industry full of these morons. So, but those morons have stopped making as much money now. They're not making as much money, they're running out of time, and ultimately everybody that did that now burnt their reputation. So because they don't have reputations anymore, they probably won't be around. And it's like this market cycle. We saw the same thing in 2017, we'll see the same thing in 2025. And it will be 2025. Be 2024, 2025, next Bitcoin halving. There'll be an amazing 18-month period around then, just like what we've experienced. And Bitcoin will probably reach $300,000, something like this. But it'll end the same way. You'll attract the same kind of dicks, is the best way of putting it. We maybe have to bleep that, I don't know. Depends how PC and family friendly we're going. But yeah, you attract the same kind of people every time. And I don't like them. And if you are watching this and you are that person, I don't like you. Anyway.
No. And you won't be in the space for long anyway, so.
Yeah.
So we'll sayonara.
Yeah,
right?
well, I mean, you're going to be leaving. You probably won't watch this interview past minute 1 anyway. The thing is, people like this have no genuine interest. I've met so many of them. Because again, I've been to Dubai quite a few times. They don't just live in Dubai. I've met a couple here today as well. And the thing is, about this kind of individual, they're shameless in the way that they spend, and they don't fully understand what this industry means to people like me. I'm not here for the short term. I made a lot of money. I then invested a lot of money that I've made into this business. Why did I do that? Well, because I didn't want to raise money. I didn't want outside investment involved in my company. I wanted to control my idea because it's my idea, it's my baby. Whereas a lot of people will take outside investment against a token or against an NFT. And so they have really no concept of the value of that money that they've raised. And therefore they spend irresponsibly. They don't look for profit models. They just go, look, we've got 5 million quid, let's party. And we saw so much of it in the bull run. Well, why? I went to Abu Dhabi, right? To the Grand Prix in Abu Dhabi for the end of last year. At that Grand Prix, there was about 6 yachts. All of the yachts had NFTs promoting on those yachts. They were all paid for by NFTs. All of those NFTs have since exit scammed. Not only that, but the sponsor of one of the teams for the last race of last season has also exit scammed. This is why we need bear markets, to flush out these people.
Yeah, no, it's very good to have like a cleanse.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree.
Detox.
Detox, yeah. Crypto detox. Right, what are your top 3 tips for anyone wanting to get into crypto trading?
I would say don't go at it with as much money as what you initially want to do. Actually, just learn something before you start throwing lots of money at it. And then as soon as you feel like you've got some confidence, approach it with a meaningful amount of money, which will be point 2. If something doesn't mean a lot to you, then it's not going to have a huge impact on your life, and ultimately you won't get the desired result. If you're going to do crypto trading because you want to make a living from crypto trading, do it with a serious amount of money, but also make sure that you could generate a profit before you go at it with a serious amount of money. I think that just have less confidence going into things. Be more skeptical of your own trades. All of these things. 3, I mean, I could go on forever about this topic, about what you should and shouldn't do when trading, but I would say the most thing is, don't revenge trade. Because one of the things that I've probably lost the most amount of money doing, I've got a fun story about that actually. So I once lost $6 million on one trade. It was when Bitcoin crashed down from 69,000 down to 40 something thousand in just a few days, on that big, just horrible crash. I was only 3x long, and I lost a lot of money on that. Like $6 million is a lot of money. But then I revenge traded that. So I then just whacked like another 400k in an account, and then immediately made about $2.5 million, like in the span of maybe 3 or 4 hours. And then I immediately lost all of that money and the extra $400,000 I deposited. So don't revenge trade. That's a very extreme example of a revenge trade, but it's a very important thing that people understand. Like, I also want to point out that was a different time back then. Everything was much higher in price. You could invest in anything and make 100k in like a day, money was like confetti back then. It has since changed. We're 18 months into a bear market. Don't think I'm playing with that kind of money anymore. We're not. It's just times are different. You should watch some of our videos from back then. They're funny. I used to go on a live stream like $12 million trades up. It's stupid. I was insane.
Not anymore.
I know I'm still perfectly insane, but just like without as much money as I used to have. But it's fun. I just do all this stuff because it's fun. I could stop any time. I just enjoy it, and I think that's one of the main things as well about trading is if you don't enjoy it and you're doing it purely to make money, just stop, because you won't make money long term because you need to constantly improve on your knowledge, and that's the other thing as well. Go to CryptoSavingExpert.com. But when improving on your knowledge, education doesn't stop at school. You'll know this. You are constantly learning in this space, and if you stop educating yourself and stop looking for the things that you're doing wrong, you will fail consistently. So improve yourself every day. Analyze your own performances. I sit down a couple times a week. I review all of my trades. I review how I felt during those trades, and then I analyze my own performance. I do like my own performance review in order to make sure that I'm operating at 100%. This means look at your sleeping patterns. Look at every single thing you can do. You've got to make sure you're operating at 100%, because if you're not, then you're not going to make as much money. And for me, if you're trading, you've got to be going for it. If you're not trading, take some time off, relax. The idea is to go on and off with it, and sometimes there are bad times in the market to trade. If you spot one, don't trade.
Do you know what? It's so nice to see such a successful trader as yourself constantly evolving and not just, getting cocky with yourself, right? And not just
well, it's because I frequently make mistakes. Most traders won't ever admit to making mistakes. Whereas I go, no, look, honestly, I about 4 days ago lost 70 grand on a trade. And that was my fault. I was not really what I would call over leveraged. I would just say I was caught out. I was not operating 100%. I was not giving it 100% of my attention, and it cost me. Now, if you're going to do things like this, if you're going to play with serious money and you're going to try and make serious money, you've got to be critical of yourself. You can't, for example, Jess from Interpret Crypto, the girl that we had in here before, I tell her, look, analyze your own performance, analyze my performance. If you spot anything you don't like about what I'm doing, tell me, because I want to know. It's not that I take anything personal. I'm so comfortable in what I'm doing, in my own skin and everything like that, that I don't care. If you've got a problem with me, please tell me. Whereas there are many people that are insecure about their skill set. They'll put on a fake face and tell you everything's always going great. It's not. Things go terrible sometimes. But it's good that they go terrible, because it keeps you humble and normal.
With just the right amount of insane.
Yeah, just keep it also a little bit insane. Insanity is good. You need some insanity to just go somewhere different. Who wants to live a normal life? Just be different.
No, exactly. Thank you so much for watching this episode, and if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to give us a like, comment and subscribe. And also, if you want to try out any of Jordan's advice, you can check out Glove. Happy Glove trading, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.